Hi guys, Casper MMA here, and today we are back with another Octagon predictions video on the channel to give my predictions for Octagon 60, Paradeiser versus Duque. Now, the last Octagon predictions video I did went pretty well. I got the main event pick right, I got quite a few underdogs as well, so overall wasn't too bad. So I'm back again with this week's card, but before I get into it, make sure if you're not already, go and hit the subscribe button down below if you enjoy this type of content. It's free and it's much appreciated. So up in front of me, I've got the entire card. There is 11 fights, maybe 12 on this card I think. So we started off with Lucie Pudilova versus Cecilie Bolander. Now Pudilova, ex-UFC, I think this might be her first fight since the UFC. Yep, she lost to Luana Carolina back in July of this year, but she lost decision there. She lost decision to Perez, then she lost the decision to Edwards, so that's why she's now been kicked out of the UFC and she's back to Octagon where she was before. But she's fighting, she's only 30 to be fair, so she's not too bad. Bolander, she's fighting Bolander, who's 3-0, so like 10 times less experience than Pudilova. She has looked alright. She's got 2 wins by submission, 1 by decision in her fights. But I do think like this is an easy pick. I think Pudilova is going to get this job done. She's UFC level. Bolander isn't. And I feel like Pudilova gets this one done by decision. Now, we move up the card to Radek Rousal versus Nezar Bahaji. So, Rousal 2-1. Bahaji 3-1. Bahaji, Frenchman. He is not too bad record. All his wins coming by decision. 1 loss by rear naked choke. Rousal 2-1. Lost his last fight to decision. Before that, he won a couple decisions as well. So he's had a lot of Muay Thai and boxing. And he's done quite a few different things, you know, custom rules and stuff like that. So he's been about. He's got some experience in that. And I do think Rousal is going to get this job done, you know. I just feel like he's got a more impressive record than Bahaji has. So I feel like Rousal gets his job done by decision. Now, we move up the card to Thomas Hron versus Fred Sikking. Now, this is an interesting fight. I'm not actually sure what this means because I haven't watched that much Octagon before. But it's a custom rules fight here. So maybe it's kickboxing and MMA or something like that, like different rounds, because both these guys are kickboxing and Muay Thai guys. Both had a lot of kickboxing fights and that, and Muay Thai. So I don't think they've fought MMA before. I'm not really sure. Maybe they have. But all the records, just like Hron's record, is a lot of kickboxing wins and losses. But so I'm not really sure how this one's going to play out in MMA. Should probably be a striking match, to be fair. They both look like good strikers. So I feel like that Hron is going to get this one done. And I reckon he could do it by decision. Now, we move up the card to Jakub Tichota versus George Staines. Now, an Englishman, 2-0, George Staines. Not much experience, really. He got a decision win in his last fight. And before that, he got a guillotine choke. He's got a lot of amateur fights, to be fair to him. Only lost 1 in his career. Whereas Tichota, 5-2. Quite a few more fights professionally. All in the Octagon as well. He has coming off 2 losses, fair. Lost to Losene Keita, who's fighting on this card. And also my mate Sanikidze, who's also fighting on this card. So it's not too bad record. Lost to split decision. Lost to KO. But I do think that Tichota gets this one done. I do feel like he's had more fights than George Staines. I just feel like it's in Czech Republic as well. He's going to get it done in his home country. And I think he gets this one done by decision. Now, we move up the card to Attila Korkmaz versus Agi Sardari. Now, Korkmaz, 15-8. So many fights there. He's coming off a win by submission. But he lost a split decision before that to Paradeiser, who's the main event of this card. His record's interesting. Every promotion he's been in, he's 1-1 in ACA, 1-1 in Octagon, 1-1 in Bellator. So he's like, he's never goes on like a winning streak, it seems like. Agi Sardari, 17-5, a little bit more impressive record. Like 5 wins by KO, 5 wins by decision, 7 wins by submission. Overall well-rounded fighter. Went to decision with Keita, and he's got a few wins before that. So he looks decent, to be fair. Sardari, and I'm going to pick him in this fight, to be fair, and I think he gets this one done by decision. Now, we move up the card to Mate Sanikidze versus Jack Cartwright. Now, I'm probably butchered half his names, bear with me here. Sanikidze, Georgian, when we just saw a Georgian win another title in the UFC, Murad. So now there's two Georgians. All the Georgians, like, I don't know how big of a country it is, but they seem to be doing really well in MMA. So this guy looks like no exception, 11-3. Looks a pretty decent record. Two losses by decision and then one by KO. The rest of his fights look pretty well. He's won a lot by decision. He actually is the only guy to beat Losene Keita. It was a foot injury, but still, he's the only guy to beat him. Did lost his last fight to Nezhand, but apart from that, he's not a bad record, to be fair. He's fighting the Englishman, Jack Cartwright, 11-2, so very similar record. Both his losses coming by decision. He lost his both of them lost the last fight by decision. So it's interesting. This guy has quite a lot of wins by submission. Most of his wins coming by submission. So if he gets to the ground, Jack Cartwright could finish it. But I do think that Sanikidze is going to control this fight, and I feel like he's going to win it by decision. Now, we move up the card to Jan Stanovsky versus Gleb Shadrin. Now, Jan Stanovsky, 4-1. Shadrin, 5-2. Czech versus Greek matchup. Stanovsky is on a 4-fight winning streak. He lost his first one by decision, but since then he's won all finishes since then, so not too shabby. No, that's right. Glenn Shadrin, 5-2. He's also on a he's on a 2-3 fight winning streak, so not too bad either. Coming off a head kick KO in his last fight, so pretty dangerous man. But I do think that Stanovsky is going to get this fight done, going to get the job done. I think Shadrin has been KO'd before. I do think that Jan Stanovsky is quite dangerous. He's got a few finishes, so I think Stanovsky is going to get this job done by KO in round number 2. Now, we move up the card to probably the hardest names to pronounce on the whole card. Andrzej Kalasnik versus John Palaiologos. What? John Palaiologos. Yep, Greek man with the most insane name ever to pronounce. A lot of MMA fights, 20, 13-1 record. 37 years of age, so this man is getting on a bit. He's been around for a while. He's 1-3 in Octagon. He lost his first 2 fights and then went to some other promotion, came back to Octagon with a Kimura, and then lost again to a knee to the body. Whereas Kalasnik, 11-5, not too bad, 7-4 in Octagon. He is I don't know how old he is. The other guy's 37. This guy doesn't have an age apparently, so I'm just going to assume he's younger because he can't be much older than 38 really. This guy's got 5 KO wins, 5 decision wins, so last win was by KO as well. Lost to Nicholas Stoles, which isn't too bad of a loss, but yeah, not too bad. So it's an interesting matchup, but I do think Kalasnik gets this KO in round number 1. Now, we move up the card to Vladimir Lengal versus Corey Fry. So, a few English guys on this in this card. This is the 3rd one, and there's another one coming up as well. So, Lengal, 6-4. He's also got 12-0 boxing record as well. So, pretty decent on the feet, this guy. He's a good boxer. Whereas his MMA career, not as good, but he has lost his last 2 fights to decision. But one of them is a split decision. He does have a KO, a knee KO in his fight before that, so not too bad. Corey Fry, 5-2. Looks decent, to be fair. 1-1 in the Octagon. Lost his last fight to Max Holzer by submission, but I don't think that's going to be a threat in this fight because he's fighting a boxer. So he has won some submissions as well before, a lot of KOs. So it could be. I think it's going to be a close fight, but I do think Fry will get this job done. I feel like he's overall a better, well-rounded fighter, and I reckon he gets this job done by decision. Now, we move up to one of the co-main events. Losene Keita versus Mateusz Legierski. Now, Losene Keita, very good like fighter. The Black Panther, he's Belgian. Most of his wins coming by KO, 9 wins to be precise. 1 loss by KO, but it's an injury. So this guy is pretty good. He's won his last 3 fights in a row. Decision, KO. So he is a threat to be precise. He's fighting Mateusz Legierski, 12-1, so very good record as well. He's on a pretty 5 fight winning streak as well. Last loss coming by KO a while ago in 2021. So since then he's looked pretty good. A few decision wins, few submission wins. So he is a decent fighter as well. So 2 decent fighters coming up against each other, similar records. I do think Keita is the more dangerous fighter though, and I reckon he's going to get this job done by KO in round number 1. Now we move up to the second co-main event. I can't say his name, man. Makhmud Muradov versus Scott Askham. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is 2 ex-UFC fighters fighting each other here. So, yeah, it is, to be fact. Muradov, I'm not sure why he's actually not in the UFC anymore, to be honest. I don't really understand that looking at his record. He was 4-2 in the UFC, 34 years of age. But, I mean, his last fight was a no contest by accidental eye poke, so no idea why he's not in the UFC anymore, but maybe, I don't know, he just got kicked out or something, maybe he left, no idea. But yeah, he's lost to Kai Barallo and Jaron Mearshad in the UFC, and that's it. But since then, he's had a few wins in Octagon before, and he's a decent fighter. Muradov, 17 wins by KO, can't deny him. Scott Askham, however, 36 years of age, so a bit older, 20-6, went 2-4 in the UFC, so the opposite of what Muradov was. And yeah, he was last fighting in the UFC back in 2016 and 2017, so he's been out of there for a while now. He was fighting KSW, won a few, then lost 2 in a row to the same way. He fought this same guy 3 times in a row and lost twice to KO by him, so that's kind of funny. But he won his last one by decision. But I do think that Muradov is going to be the better fighter in this one. The younger guy by 2 years. Scott Askham's been KO'd a few times recently, so I think Muradov is going to get the KO, and he's going to get it in round number 3. Now we move up to the main event: Ronald Paradeiser versus Acoidan Duque. I don't know how you say that, but that's what I've gone with. So Paradeiser, 20-8, from Serbia or Slovakia. Not sure what that flag is. It is Slovakia. That's the one. And a lot of wins by KO, 11, 6 wins by decision. He has lost 5 times by submission, so that is not his best place. He lost his submission by Ivan Buchinga, but then he did win. Then he came back and knocked out Buchinga in round number 3. Well, it was a doctor's stoppage, but same thing. So he did lose to Losene Keita, his last loss, but since then he's been on quite a big winning streak. I think he's got a 7 winning streak at the minute, so pretty decent. Coming off a unanimous decision in his last fight. Acoidan Duque, 21-4, so a lot of fights to be fair to him. He is, I have no idea what his age is because Topology just doesn't tell me for some reason. They don't know who this guy is. But 11 wins by submission, so this guy is a threat on the ground. He's on a 4-fight winning streak as well, coming with a decision win in his last fight and one before that. So both guys look decent, to be fair. A lot of fights for both of them. But I do think that Paradeiser is the better fighter here. I think he's looked better in some of his fights, and I reckon he gets this one done by decision. So there we have it. There are my predictions for Octagon 61. Let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of my picks. And that's all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, maybe leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and see you guys next time. Goodbye.